Okay, guys, we are live. Hit the like, hit the share, give us a sub, show us you care. That's copyrighted, Josh. You can't use that.
I love it. I love a catchphrase.
How are you, buddy? All right, Josh Sexton, the Anfield rap legend in the house. How are you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you, Dave. Good to be on the show. I feel like have I been on one of these before, or is this the first time
No, I've
we've done
had
this?
nearly
Yeah.
everybody from the Anfield rap on except you.
I won't take it personally. Me and you have had many good chats at Island live shows and stuff in the past, so I know it's
Yeah,
always
that's
love
what I
with you,
mean.
Dave.
Yeah, you didn't come over last year. Actually, you didn't come to Dublin. I thought you were going to come. The Red Men TV came over, but I thought you guys were going to come over last year.
We usually tend to do one island show a year. We did Australia last year, which sort of that was around the time we'd usually do Ireland. And
Yeah.
to be honest, because Australia was such a big trip and a big expense, it just sort of kiboshed everything else. So unfortunately, Ireland got forgotten within all of that. But I'm pretty sure the Amphirap are planning to be back this year. It's not an
Yeah.
exclusive, by the way. It's just me sort
Next
of
year, maybe
making an
maybe in
assumption.
March. They
Next
usually
year that'll
come
be
around
it. Yeah,
March,
yeah.
don't they? Be next year,
Next
yeah.
next
This
year,
season.
I imagine, yes.
This season. But look, do you know what? We've a bit to talk about for the next 20 minutes or so. I mean, look at Liverpool, the position we're in. I'm going to point off the top. I mean, I think see a thing. We better mention him. 10 years of Jurgen Klopp. Was it yesterday? I think he came in. I know
Yeah.
you've met him and chatted to him and stuff. Just before we get into the slot and the general stuff of everyday stuff at Liverpool right now in the immediate term, Jurgen. I mean, you've met him. What is he like?
To be honest, so I didn't meet him as much as the other guys did. Like the other guys got to do a couple of interviews with him. I
Videos and
was
stuff.
I
Yeah,
was only part of the sort of background team. It was me and Fuad who helped do the sound and visual around when we
yeah.
interviewed him in Boston in 2019. And even just in that short sort of interaction with him and getting to sit and listen to that interview and seeing the way he was with Neil and John who were doing that, but also just, in general when he came into the room and he shook everybody's hand and the way he was after when he was just sort of, once the cameras went off, he sat and chatted to us like he was our mate. And that's the best thing about Jurgen is not just the football manager. And by the way, he was a great one at that and he won everything there was to win at Liverpool. But he was just a brilliant man as well. He was such an amazing figure to be the figurehead of Liverpool Football Club, wasn't he? Like I love the fact that he's got a key to the city and all those things now because it's a symbol that will live forever in terms of how much we love Jurgen Klopp, and it goes way beyond the football. It speaks to the man as well, and yeah, what an amazing 10 years, what an amazing ride we had with him.
Unbelievable 10 years. And it was weird for me because I've told John, and I've had John on and Garrett Roberts when he was witches at the time and stuff. My mum actually died 10 years on the 20th of October. And 10 years ago, and Klopp was coming in, and my mum was sick. Obviously, she had cancer. So those few weeks when Klopp came in were sort of a blur to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
bit of a
absolutely.
blur. And it always brings me back to the 20th when my mum passed away. But look, he's been a legend. He left us in a great place. The team we had, and we won the league last year and all. And it was. I was over in Liverpool for the parade. It was absolutely unbelievable. I know there was almost a real tragedy at the end. Luckily, no one was actually killed in it. A few people were hurt though, and I was actually around the corner from there. I was literally in front of the Liver building, literally in front of it the whole day, and that was at Water Street. I think it was right behind
Yeah.
us. I mean, blessed. But I mean, Ernest Law. I mean, unbelievable. Came in from Feyenoord. Not many people knew about him. I knew he was the manager of Feyenoord, but I didn't know much. I didn't even know if he was bald or had hair. Do you know what I'm saying? Not many people knew about him. But I do remember tweeting literally about a week before he signed for us. I did a video and I do remember tweeting it. You can even look it up, guys, if you don't believe me, saying Arna will slot right in. And he has slotted right in, hasn't he? Wow.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. Like he was unbelievable last season, wasn't he? And again, like there is different levels to this, and I think Liverpool managers in particular are expected to sort of go across different levels. And the thing I wondered with Slot, especially when he first came in, was are we for maybe the first time in years, to be honest, maybe certainly in my lifetime, are we going to get a football manager who is just focused on the coaching, like that we're not going to just like fall in love with as a fella. He's just going to be the sort of coach of our football team, and everything else is going to be sort of left in the background in the shadows because in my lifetime, I was born in 1995, so the first manager I remember at Liverpool was Gerard Houllier, someone that we all fell in love with. Rafa, we all fell in love with, of course. Kenny and his second coming. I'm just going to completely gloss over Roy Hodgson because we don't want any of that in our lives, do we? Brendan divided opinion, but one of the reasons Brendan divided opinion is because we expected a lot from the person as well as the football manager, and Brendan delivered some things as a football manager, but as a person, I would argue Brendan left some things wanting. And then of course you go on to Jurgen and then into Arne, and I honestly thought, as I mentioned, that you maybe wouldn't get to see how great a person Arne Slot was, because he's so no bullshit, isn't he? Like he's just completely like, everything is to the point. His press conferences are such a breath of fresh air because he is just like, there's no fake, there's no smoke and mirrors with him. Everything is sort of to the bone. A very Dutch approach from him, I think you might say. But then
he does like the odd little course he throws it in, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. You can see he's getting to grips with the English language and all the loveliness of the English language, particularly with the swear words. But I was going to say, like you've mentioned that one of the tragedies this summer in terms of what happened at the parade, and as you say, thank God that it didn't turn into a bigger tragedy. Yeah, and I was going to mention that obviously with Jota and Slot, for me, that was when you got to see the true character of the man, was when everything happened with Jota, and it shouldn't have taken a tragedy like that for that to come out. Like, I think Slot was great for so much of last season as a human being as well, in the way he sort of managed the team, particularly everything around Trent and things like that. But in the aftermath of Jota's passing, when he was saying that if the lads want to train, they can train, there's no pressure on them. Everything he said and the way he represented Liverpool Football Club in that moment was exactly the way you want your football manager to represent your football club. And for me now, he's gone beyond that mantle of just the head coach, because that when he was first brought in, that was what Liverpool was sort of almost forcing down our throats, really, weren't they? Was this idea that he's the head coach, he's not the manager. To me now, I am calling him the manager. I think more people are sort of warming to the idea of him being the manager, because he has come this more holistic leader again, and it just so happens that he's very good at managing the football team too.
Do you know what it is? I mean, like, unbelievable season last year. I mean, to win the league, I didn't have us. I had us. I said, look, we might get top four. We might win it. We might win a trophy, a League Cup or an FA Cup or something. Maybe a good run in the league. The bread and butter is the league for me. I mean, I'm an '80s boy. The league is the bread and butter. Everything else is a bonus, Josh. Everything else, even the Champions League, is a bloody bonus for me. I want the league every bloody year, because that for me is the hardest to win. And like, we've 20 on the board. I want to get 21. We're only a point behind Arsenal. A lot of people are writing us off. There's fans throwing in towels. I mean, after 7 games? Are they absolutely ridiculous lunatics, whatever you want to call them? Well, probably they're not even real fans, to be fair. Probably not real fans. Probably TikTok boys. That's what I call them. But we've such a quality squad. The squad is ridiculous. I mean, over 400 million spent in summer. Yeah, we got over 200 million back and stuff like that. But there was transition, new players in, Jota and his brother, what a huge void that's left in the club, that type of thing. And then even the hangover from winning the league the energy that would have took out of you winning the league for a start. I mean, the amount of stuff these boys and the manager and the backroom staff and all that have had to put up in the last, say, 4 or 5 months has just been ridiculous. And we're still only a point off Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, Arsenal are probably the one team in the league with the most continuity, really. I mean, they signed Zubamendi and Gyökeres in the summer. I don't think there was any sort of big signings beyond that. Maybe Mosquera, the centre-back, who's had to come in a little bit more than they expected because of the injuries to Saliba and things like that. So they are the ones with the most continuity. I was a little bit, not upset is the wrong word, really. I was worried about how much transition Liverpool would lead themselves into by sort of, almost like self-will. It felt like Liverpool were governed on in terms of transfers this summer. I take your point about obviously the void that Jota left and the sales that we made, and those people had to be replaced, of course. For my money, and I expressed this in the summer, by the way, so it's not me saying it now that there's bad times. I'm not being one of the TikTok boys that Dave's slagging off, although I do upload TikToks, so maybe I do fall into that category. But no, like, being serious, I was a little bit worried about how much transition there would be because of the amount of signings that Liverpool went on to make, rather than sort of just plugging the gaps in the squad. It feels like they went above and beyond, and that was exciting at the time. I'm now not entirely surprised that it is looking a little bit transitional and that there's going to be mentality. I keep saying I think the mentality needs to click before the football can click really. And again, you can forgive them maybe being sort of not mentally resilient at the moment because they've had this unspeakable tragedy happen to them in the summer. So I'm going to give them loads of grace, especially in this first half of the season. I still think they'll be up there anyway, so it's not even me like making excuses for the team, because I don't think I'll need to make excuses for them. I still think it's going to be a really open 3-horse title race. I think City look like they're back with enough steam. Like there's still issues with them, but there's issues with us, and I think there's always issues with Arsenal, because I just think Mikel Arteta's a loser, to be honest, and is breeding a losing mentality within that football team. So Haaland is bringing City back to the fore, what it feels like single-handedly again. And we're just going to take a little bit of time, but once we do click, as you say, the squad is unbelievable. Some of the talent that's in there, I mean, like even Isak is getting maybe a little bit of criticism, more so from fake fans or opposition fans really than any real Liverpool fans. But like even in flashes, like you see his touch for the Gakpo goal against Chelsea, like there's still so much quality in these lads. Florian Wirtz had a slow start to life at Liverpool, but moments of quality again have shown themselves, particularly in pre-season. So I don't feel overly concerned with anything I've seen at the moment. It was a tough week going into an international break. Good chance for us to sort of hit the reset button a little bit now, and then steam into those Mancs when they come to our place on the whatever that is, 18th, 19th.
Could you? You couldn't
Absolutely
get a better
not.
game. There's just a slight crackling noise. Have you got earphones in?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
It's like they're hitting off something when you talk, when you move.
Oh, maybe it's hitting off the mic. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
That's
the professionalism coming out in you there, Josh. But look, the main thing for me, as you say, I mean, I'm not worried. I think we're probably even ahead of ourselves in the transition, or whatever you want to call it. Because I would have thought last year would have been the transition year. New manager coming in, new backroom staff, didn't really buy anybody other than Chiesa, and he doesn't really play Chiesa. Chiesa's probably had more minutes net in the first few games than he had all last season. So buying in a load of players doesn't always work, no matter what the quality. We've seen it with teams down the years. It takes time to gel. It takes time to get the understanding and everything, But I do believe this team, this manager in particular, I think he'll get it right, Josh. I really do. I think there's so much in this season to look forward to. And one thing I would like, we've been talking about contracts and players coming in. Do you know what I like? I like an Arne Slot tied down to a long-term contract. Because he only has over a year. This is the second year. He only got a 3-year contract.
Yeah, and there's been a couple of rumours sort of going around on Twitter today, hasn't there, that will be forthcoming, and it will be an interesting reaction, because that's when you will see the fake fans coming out and people sort of criticising Arne Slot and things like that. Don't entertain that at all if you see any of that. Those people are just bad actors. Arne Slot has been incredible for his football club, as I mentioned before, even just in terms of what he was doing for Liverpool off the pitch during the summer, but he's an incredible football manager too. And I believe that Liverpool have got so many good times to come under Arne Slot, and if he signs this new deal, I'll be absolutely made up, because he's on the flag in the Coppers, and he's one of the managers that won us the Premier League, that brought us that Holy Grail home. You mentioned that you are the league first and foremost. I think loads of us are, to be honest. Like the Champions League is brilliant. There's an argument it's the most fun thing to win because of all the away trips and all the things that you get to do en route to winning that Champions League. But for Liverpool, we want to beat United in terms of league titles. We want to be the most dominant team in English football, and of course we are after winning the league title last season. But I want 21. I want to keep going and keep pushing home. So I'm firm believer that Arne Slot is the man who can help us deliver that.
Do you know what? The best birthday party, I know you probably aren't this age yet, but the best birthday party you're going to have in your life is probably your 21st. 21st is the best birthday party.
I'm 30 now, Dave. You wouldn't believe it, but I'm 30.
I'm 52, baby. Oh, my God.
Both getting younger.
It's Benjamin Button effect. But look, as I say, going forward now, we come back against United. I think that game takes care of itself, Josh. Once everyone comes back from international break with no bloody injuries, let's hope that doesn't happen. I know we're a bit short defensively. But Gahey, were you disappointed, Mark Gahey? I thought it was over the line. I know we needed a centre half. I really do like him. But I think it would have been a perfect 10 window we got Gahey in.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because on the one hand, I've sort of said there that we arguably made too many signings and sort of forced a period of transition on ourselves when maybe we didn't need to have a period of transition. And yet, I would have also liked to have signed Mark Gahey. Like, I don't know if it would have made it a perfect 10 window. I think you can't judge transfer windows really until all the
Later
players
on.
have settled. Yeah, so maybe until the next transfer window, you can't sort of judge the first transfer window. And by that, I mean from one summer to the other rather than January transfer window. So I was disappointed not to sign him. I'm still not necessarily feeling like there's a natural place for him to have slotted in this season. I know there's been a lot of criticism of Konate, and you could argue there'd have been more rotation if we'd have brought in Mark Gahey, or maybe even Konate would have had a bit of a spell out the team. I don't know if that would help Konate, to be honest. I can see a world in which Konate now stays at the club. It seems like the talks, at least from what David Ornstein has been saying and stuff, have actually been constructive, and they're not. It's not like his head has been turned by Real Madrid or any stretch of the imagination. So, like, I was disappointed not to sign Gahey, but I do think that Liverpool can still achieve big things and then go and sign him on a free in the summer. So all is not sort of lost there. But then, this next game against United, like you said, is the one that you want to put all your focus into now. And you mentioned it again before, like, what better one to come back from the international break with, because like the team talk for that writes itself, doesn't it? Like we as fans are going to go into Anfield for that game and create the atmosphere that the players are going to be able to thrive off, and it's up to them to make sure they thrive off it. Now, I mentioned that I think there's a bit of a mentality issue in the squad, and I don't say that to mean like there's a wholesale, like there is a bad mentality in each individual player, more so that I think mentally they're probably not in the right place at the moment. And again, I think loads of that is forgivable. I think there's a target on their back now because they're the champions, but this is a team in Manchester United that, it wasn't a great result at Anfield last season and not a great result in, the FA Cup, even in the season before that, or maybe that was last season as well. I'm losing track of seasons as they go now, but it's a team that Liverpool can find eminently beatable. We're a much better team than Manchester United, and it's a big rival, so it comes with all the sort of bells and whistles of that. But if Liverpool play the match and not necessarily the occasion, and thrive off the sense of occasion that we create, rather than treating it like it's a sense of occasion because we're creating that atmosphere, then I think they should win that game of football comfortably.
You know what? I'd be worried if I was playing Liverpool, because they are going to click one of these days, and when they click, they will, it'll be 4 or 5-0. It'll be something ridiculous, because you can see it in the patterns of play. Defensively, they're caught at times, but even Florian Wirtz, some of the touches, some of the silky play from him. Oh, yeah. I'm not worried about him at all, Josh. I don't know your take on Wirtz, but I know there's a money tag and all that, but I just think he is absolute class. He's only a young lad.
And this is what's funny, is I think because of the price tag, we naturally sort of associate money with flair, really.
Yeah.
And when Szoboszlai came in, it's another good example. Szoboszlai was obviously brilliant in his first, I think that's probably 3 months of the season, tails off a little bit after the international break, but it's still working so hard. Jurgen Klopp mentioned it when he was manager. Arne Slot mentioned it last season when Szoboszlai was being criticised a little bit, and now he's probably one of our players of the season, isn't he? Albeit he's been maybe moved about a little bit too much, but we now appreciate that work rate because we've suddenly forgotten about the 70 million price tag that he had on him. Players like Ryan Gravenberch and Alexi McAllister, I think, get praised so much because they're £35 million players who show a lot of work rate, and of course both of them are brilliant, and I think they're worth way more than that, more than double what 35 million price tag that we brought them in for now. But if we brought in Wirtz for 35 million, then I think we'd all be saying those same things. Brilliant work rate, looks like he's going to be coming to the party at some point, and I still do think he will, and I still do think you'll see that flair and those brilliant moments that you've mentioned there. We've already seen a couple of, but I think there's going to be loads more to come from him. I'm really excited to see him fully arrive in this Liverpool team. I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, and as I say, if you would have told me going back, even to say back in June or May, when we were in Liverpool, actually when we won the league in the parade, that we were going to sign Wirtz, Isak, Kerkez, Frimpong. I'm nearly forgetting who we signed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you would have told us that we'd sign Ekitike, if we would signed up all these players, you would have said, nah, you're in dreamland there. It's not going to happen. Never happen. FSG don't spend money like that and all this type of thing. So, it's just, what can you do to please the fan base? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what you can do.
Well, Dave, obviously I'm from the Antwerp app, so I can't talk about FSG. That's a strict company policy. I'm obviously messing, by the way, to anybody watching.
I've no issue against FSG. That's
we talk about FSG.
No
we
issue
talk
with
about FSG so much on the Anfield app, and we have done down the years, and I'm the same as you. Like, I don't have a real issue. I have an issue in as much as I don't celebrate billionaires. So like, I'm never going to celebrate the ownership
yeah,
of Liverpool by any stretch of the imagination either. I think they've got some stuff right, and I think they've got some stuff terribly wrong, and the terribly wrong maybe outweighs the right. But they've made a lot of transfers this summer, and that's always going to please the people who I think were probably the most critical of FSG because they wanted them to go and spend money, and they've spent that money this summer. You can't argue they've not backed this current manager. I don't know if the old manager would, if you sort of had him for a pint rather than on the record, would say that he felt like he was backed by them enough. I'd sort of leave that up to Jurgen Klopp to decide, really. I think Klopp made a bit of a rod for his own back at times with that too, because he was a manager who was so able to get the best out of his players. I think FSG kept going, okay, well, we've hired you to do that, so go and do it and make this team on the sum of its parts. Whereas with Slot, they've gone, you've exceeded expectations in your first season, so we'll make sure we back you in the transfer market, and that's what you've seen this summer. It was a massively exciting summer, as I said. I just hope that Liverpool can find a way to make more of those players arrive to the party quicker. Like, obviously, it's Kirkez and Ekitike that we've seen the most of. There's definitely question marks about Kirkez. There's no real question marks about Ekitike, albeit the red card is one of the maddest incidents I think I've ever seen in a football stadium. And then for the rest of them, for Isak and Frimpong, it's fitness. For Wirtz, I think it's just game time and rhythm and finding his place in this system, because he is a real system footballer by the sounds of it. And even Mamardashvili in goal is probably the one that we forget about. He's now going to have a bit of a baptism of fire over these next few games, coming in that Chelsea game where I thought Chelsea were decent, to be honest. They looked like the better football team on the whole. This was probably the most frustrating thing for me, was that Liverpool didn't look like a really good football team having an off day. They looked like a pretty bad football team trying really hard to win a game of football that really Liverpool shouldn't have to try that hard to win, because Chelsea had so many injuries and so many issues at the time. So but Chelsea are a team who are a bit of a coming force, so baptism of fire for him. He's not going to get any rest on that, because obviously it's United at Anfield next, so be interested to see how he deals with that. But he looks a big physical stature at least, so hopefully he's feeling mentally up to that challenge as well.
Let's just hope all our players come back fit and well and ready for the Anfield roar against United next week, because that is the big. We need to win that game, to be fair, just to get back into the groove, So we'll leave it there. Josh, I just want to ask you before we go, what's coming up for Josh Sexton? Have you got what's going to happen the next few weeks for you? You back in the Anfield Wrap doing stuff, or what's going on?
Yeah, so I'm no longer full-time at the Anfield. I think we mentioned that at the top of the show. I'm just a contributor now, but I've got my own show, Tour and Wrapped, on there. So anybody who's subscribed to Anfield, it's actually a free show. So even if you're not subscribed to Anfield, you can go and check that out on the Anfield YouTube channel. We sort of get stuck into the bigger topics in football, from Liverpool across the football world, really. And then for me, just a couple of little personal projects. Anyone who listens to the Anfield or has seen me down the years knows that I'm into my basketball as well. So there's going to be a couple of big basketball things, I hope, coming over the next few months. The NBA season starts at the end of this month, so there'll be more exciting things to come from that. And I've just launched my own little show as well. It's more just a platform for me to talk rubbish, to be honest. So that's called The Sport Tea. That's on my own YouTube channel, on my own social media. I'm joshsexton24, wherever you want to find me on social media. So come and interact with me, say hi, and let's have a laugh together and enjoy the Reds and enjoy sport in general together.
Absolute legend. I'll put the links down in the description as well. So show Josh some love, guys. We leave it there. Huge game in the next week or two. Let's hope all the players come back, get ready to rock, get a win, and let's go for this league. Let's win this league again. Get number 21. I want that 21st birthday party. That's what I want. That's what Josh wants. Let's go. Josh Sexton, thank you very much for coming in. Thanks for the chat, guys. Stay safe. Talk soon. This means more. Cheers, guys.